The movie Tora 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 begins with the explicit claim which says that the story in the film follows the true events that led up to the attack on Pearl Harbor, which occurred on December 7th, 1941, by the Japanese. This film will be classified as a docudrama due to the fact that it follows a true story, yet some of the elements in the film were added for the dramatic effect. The goal of the filmmakers was not to tell an exact story from history, but to do so in an entertaining fashion that also stayed true to the actual events. This film has a very strong oral accuracy. The creators do a good job capturing the Japanese language, both with and without subtitles, and are equally successful when capturing the Japanese accent with characters that are speaking English, like in the case of the ambassador to Japan. And then later in the film, music plays a very big part in one scene. In the scene where the Japanese fighter pilots are approaching Pearl Harbor, they can hear Hawaiian music over the radio, which signifies that they are close. And at the same time, you get an image of American pilots that are picking up the same music, which means that attack is imminent, and you can kind of sense that it's a normal day for the Americans and it's a routine flight, and yet the Japanese are headed for this big battle, big significant battle, and they can sense it, and they're excited, and you can kind of get that in the scene. Later, the attack sounds are very accurate. The gunfire, the explosions, the sound of all of the airplanes, all that noise. The filmmakers do a good job working that into the background where you can still hear the characters talking, but it's clear that there are a lot of planes and how that adds to the scene. And then lastly, with the oral accuracy, you can really pick up the hierarchy of the military from the way that the Army and Navy officers talk to each other. You can tell that there is a command rank, and there are respect issues, and like you can really set up or see how the setup of how the military works is, and how there's a chain of command, and you get that from just the way they talk to each other. That's fairly evident. Throughout the film, I believe that the visual accuracy stands above the rest. I think that the filmmakers do an excellent job from the beginning of the film showing the Japanese and their setup and how organized they are and how ceremonial they are and how prideful they are in their navy. And then later on, the aerial shots of the islands surrounding Pearl Harbor do a really good job setting up just how dangerous an attack on Pearl Harbor would be, and that if the right ship was sunk, the whole fleet would be inoperable because they wouldn't be able to leave the harbor, and how detrimental that would be to the Americans' defense. Some other elements throughout the film that add to the visual accuracy are the clothing that is worn by the officers, both on and off duty. You can see them in their military uniforms that sets up their their roles, as well as when they're off duty. You see some of them golfing and some of them at home, which sets the tone that is similar with the 1940s. Later on, just all of the military aspects in the film, the planes, the vehicles, the ships, the settings all add to just a really valid idea of what a military base would have looked like in the 1940s. And it all adds to what the attitude and what the elements would have been at Pearl Harbor in the days leading up to the attack, as well as the actual attack in that day itself. One element that didn't have as big of an impact on the film is the chronological accuracy. The movie is not set over a long period of time. It's a period of days leading up to the event and then the actual attack itself. So there isn't really a chance for many chronological elements. But the one thing that is expressed in the movie is the tone of worry and anxiety that builds throughout the film. From the beginning, when they're intercepting messages from the Japanese, it's more of like a routine, everyday military effort. When, as the days go on, they can tell the attack is imminent, and they start to get worried and realize that this is real and this is going to happen, and they need to prepare. for the imminent danger that is coming their way. And the filmmakers really do a good job of building that subtly as like it would be in real life. Neither side will be seen as evil. Everything will be justified, and you know why they do what they do. And a huge theme throughout this is power. The Japanese want more power. They want control of Indo-Asia, and that is their motivation for the attack. They also think that their plan will catch the Americans off guard, and they will be able to get a hand up because of this, because it's an unexpected attack. And they know that the Americans are generally a stronger power than them, but if they can get the upper hand from this sneak attack, they can really gain a lot of ground. And then throughout that, you kind of get a huge impact of the pride that the Japanese feel, and they realize that they might not be as strong as the Americans, but they know that they're smart and know that they can go through with this attack, and it can be a terrible blow to the Americans. And then from the other side of the things, you can really see the theme of just military rank with the Americans, and how there is such an important chain of command, and how that affects what happened. You can see that, you know, there's channels that things need to go through before actions can be taken. And even though the intelligence had an idea that this attack was happening, you still needed to go through the rank of the military to all of the different chains, and that really slowed down the response time. There's also a theme later on of regret and realization of what the Japanese have done. They realize that while the attack was successful on their part, that it has really opened up Pandora's box, and they realize that they've kind of awoken a sleeping beast, and they've caused themselves more trouble than they have victory, because they have attacked the Americans, and now they're going to have to face the consequences of what comes next, which they know is detrimental to them. So the theme of regret and realization of what they have done really takes place or steps in to account.